On state television, Russian troops are shown on the rampage. Advancing near Bakhmut in Ukraine, seizing land, they say, pushing Ukrainian forces back. Their new soldiers don't seem to know what to do, says this Russian commander. But concern over the plight of Russia's own mobilized troops is beginning to stir. Ordinary families with men serving in Ukraine are now pleading for them to return. We just want our husbands and sons to come home, says this woman. Maria. A brave call in a country where dissent is barely tolerated. But the partial mobilization of Russians, which began last September, was always an unpopular move. As men were bussed into military service, hundreds of thousands more fled the country to avoid the draft. Many of those sent to Ukraine are still there. Men like Alexander from Voronezh, who says he was drafted in January this year. Now he wants home. We're all so tired, he says in this social media post. Our backs and knees hurt. No one cares about the money or the benefits, he says. We just want to be allowed home. Everyone really wants that. But the Kremlin is in no mood to ease off this war. With US aid to Ukraine blocked in Congress, there's a feeling here Western resolve may crumble. Bolstering Vladimir Putin as he registers to stand virtually unopposed for yet another presidential term. That which divides us must be put aside, Putin insists in his first campaign speech. Russia will be sovereign, or not there at all, he adds. Among Putin's hardline supporters, and there are many, the prospect of his continued reign is being celebrated. We don't need any other president, one of them shouts. But New Year's celebrations elsewhere are muted. Bring my husband back, bring my dad home, say the festive messages on this tree. The year is drawing to an end. But Russia's conflict in Ukraine drags on. Matthew Chance, CNN Moscow.
Déjeme detener en conflictos internacionales en donde el tema de los derechos humanos es prioritario. Hablemos de la invasión de Rusia a Ucrania como uno de los grandes sucesos que están en transcurso en este momento. ¿Qué decir en materia de defensa, protección de derechos humanos cuando vemos lo que vemos en Ucrania?
En primer lugar, es horrible ver que una vez más haya guerra y una guerra interna en Europa. Pensamos que esto era algo del siglo XIX. Nunca pensamos que fuera posible que tal guerra existiera una vez más en Europa. Desafortunadamente, existe. También es importante que entendamos que vivimos hoy en 55 países donde se puede ver violencia y conflicto. Es el número más alto de conflicto desde el comienzo, o más bien desde el final de la Segunda Guerra Mundial. Una cuarta parte de la humanidad vive en contextos frágiles de conflicto. La importancia de respetar la ley humanitaria internacional es crítica en situaciones y necesitamos constantemente luchar por ellos, porque vemos la erosión de la fábrica social, del tejido social, y es increíblemente peligroso la forma en que se vive. Mientras que en Ucrania hay una guerra agresiva por parte de Rusia. Esto nos muestra que no se puede tomar por sentado que las cosas permanecerán como están. Siempre tenemos que luchar por la libertad y por los derechos humanos. De otra forma, tal vez sean tomados de nosotros.
11 days, U.S. financial aid for Ukraine will run dry, according to the White House, unless Congress approves a new funding package. In a letter to lawmakers, the Defense Department wrote saying additional aid would be in America's best interest and that the assistance is vital for Ukraine to continue its fight for freedom. Critical funding from the EU is also on the line. They announced a special summit will be held in February to address the budget after European aid package for Ukraine was blocked last week. So with the additional funding stalled, Ukraine's counteroffensive in the east is also going nowhere. And the mood on the battlefield has changed dramatically as a result. CNN's Nick Payton-Walsh is on the front line and a warning. Some of the images in his report are graphic.
This was where the billions were meant to spell a breakthrough, but where the counter-offensive was supposed to have kicked Russia to the sea this summer. Now it is mud, death, deadlock, and the remnants of American help vanishing. It's a notably different mood here, dark, frankly. In the summer they were buoyed, feeling like they had the world at their back, moving forwards. Now it's slow, dangerous, and a real sense of, well, despair, to be honest. 40 Russian drones swarmed one Ukrainian trench here in a day. Down here, in this tiny basement, the rule is do not get seen. The other side are not so lucky. 2 Russians spotted moving a load. They guide in a mortar strike. There are just so many Russians now. Usually more meat means more mince, the commander says, but sometimes their machine struggles to handle it, and sometimes they have success. Batteries die fast in the cold, and Russian jamming seems to damage them too. This is Orikhiv, whose streets reek of crushed lives, and how much horror Moscow is willing to bring to be seen to win. In a matter of months since you were here in the summer, how much more damage has been done? If you've stopped thinking about Ukraine, be sure Putin hasn't. At command, they watch a wasteland, tree lines now bare. The dead, the injured. It's unclear if Russia treats them differently. Another Ukrainian drone aims for a foxhole. What they've struggled with are the waves of Russian assaults. Dozens of Russian prisoners, well trained and equipped, backed up by armour, who they say are given a mix of drugs. They show us this graphic video of a wounded Russian, his legs severed, seemingly high enough to smile through his fatal injuries. Still, they claim they have held hard-won ground, but at a huge cost. As we say in the army, he says, the counter-offensive was smooth on paper, but we forgot about the ditches. Colossal changes are taking place. They started making their own attack drones and outnumber ours, but they use them badly, like a kid's toy.
Что там? После чего?
Декстер, я время прием.
They say a drone has hit a trench and blown up a gas heater.
Эвакуацию, начинайте эвакуацию. Эвакуируйте на малой машине. Вы выехали уже?
Еще нет.
Почему нет? Почему нет?
The silence, the wait for news, agony.
Он 200-й уже. Ну все, пусть эвакуируют, не спеша уже ничем не помочь.
Does it feel like the casualties are getting worse?
Каждая потеря.
Every casualty makes a difference, he says. It affects everyone's morale. It's very painful for me. Sergei, aged 48, was one of 4 Ukrainians to die in that area that day, and about 50 that week. They haven't had to really talk about losing in this war, but this is what it looks like. It's not just drones. This Russian video seems to show a new threat, gas. Caustic, flammable. The Ukrainians have had 9 incidents on this front, killing 1. Here are 2 survivors.
At first I saw smoke. We ran out from the trench and the gas suddenly caught fire. The trench was in flames. This gas burns, blinds you, you can't breathe, shoots down your throat immediately. We didn't even have a second.
You inhale it twice, then you fail to breathe.
Medical reports confirmed their poisoning, and Ukrainian official told CNN a form of CS gas was being used.
And there was injuries inside your mouth? Where?
On my cheeks, everywhere, inside the mouth, My face is swollen and covered in red marks.
It is an ugly, savage world, even on a TV screen, where there seems little Moscow won't do, but too much the West won't. Nick Payton-Walsh, CNN, Kyiv, Ukraine.